The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of ParaX, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
It's coming.
All these voices. All these voices.
They're not yours. You had no right to them when you were alive, and you have no right to them when you're dead.
That's what it sounded like.
Good, you know who I am. And you know I'm not playing. You're going to let those women go. In Jesus' name, you're going to let those women go.
Is there a demon here watching us right now? Watching us right
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me, as always, my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
Good evening, Misfits, Sugar Ladies, Monster Lovers, and Demoners. How's your fucking night going, Misfits? Good evening.
All right, tonight's episode is probably going to piss some people off, but it is what it is. On tonight's episode, I kind of want to talk about the paranormal field as a whole, and especially a growing trend that I'm seeing that has to do with evidence and people presenting evidence. So this is how it works. There's a lot of different groups, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, TikTok. And in these groups, they're filled with paranormal people. And people will put evidence up as posts and ask other paranormal investigators what they think. So basically, like, one of the things could be they put up a picture of an orb, okay? And they'll say, hey, capture this orb. What do you guys think? So then you have other seasoned investigators that will see that post. And because they're being asked, they will give their opinion. They will opine. And then the original person that posted the picture of the orb will get seriously butthurt and whine and cry and bitch and moan. And this happens all the time. It's not just with orbs, but a lot of times orbs are the culprit. You also have pictures that they think show something. So there's something in the background of the picture that looks like it might be something. But usually it's not. It's very rare that you get an actual photograph in one of these groups that could potentially really be something. So, this is what I want to talk about. First of all, I'm not one of those people that says every orb is BS, okay? Because through personal experience, and it's on the channel, you can go watch it, I put a video up of an orb that we captured in a very, very, very haunted location. And this orb wasn't just a round ball of light that was just sitting there. This round ball of light literally entered in to the frame, changed directions, and then sped off. Okay? So it had independent flight. Now, could it have been a bug? I doubt it. The reason I say I doubt it is because usually when you have a bug, it's fairly small, unless it's very close to the camera. If it's very close to the camera, it appears much larger. But this was in the background of the camera. It wasn't up close. And the orb was about as big around as my fist. And it was moving across, changed directions, and it flew off. Okay? Very interesting. Very interesting. And the other interesting part about it is we did not see it while we were there filming. And we were literally looking right at where the orb came in. And we didn't see it at all. We only picked it up when we rewatched all the footage to see if we caught anything. It's very, very interesting. Now, the purpose of paranormal investigators are twofold. You got two different kinds of the real ones. I'm not talking about the weekend warrior types. They're just going out there to have a good time. Okay? People are doing serious investigations, two types. You have the scientists, the people that are involved in paranormal sciences who are actually trying to prove the existence of the paranormal. They're actually trying to do experiments and to answer questions. Okay, that's why they're out there. And then you have the types that are simply in it to try to help people that are being attacked. Okay, our group does both actually. We help a lot of people, and that's our main concern. But a lot of times, if we have the opportunity to go into a place that we know is very, very haunted, then that's a prime opportunity to go in there and do some experiments and see if we can figure things out. Okay. So I mentioned that we are paranormal scientists, okay, the real investigators. And I did that on purpose. And you might scoff at that because you might think the paranormal does not exist. But as a scientist, and I have a background in science throughout my life of jobs I've had, things I've done. As a scientist, you're going to follow the scientific method. And we all learned that in school. I don't have to go over it again. Okay. I'll touch on it briefly in case you don't know, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time recapping that for you. But basically, you're going to come up with a hypothesis based on an observation, most likely, an observation or a correlation. And you're going to say, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Or maybe it's just an anecdote. Maybe somebody tells you a story of something that's very interesting to you, and it sparks a question in your mind. You say, I wonder if that means this. Okay, so if this means this, then I have to prove that this means this. So you form that hypothesis that you think this means this. A equals B. Okay, so then you're going to devise the parameters of an experiment in order to prove that A equals B. Then you're going to do your experiment and you're going to try to prove it. If you get the result you're looking for, that's awesome. And you might think, well, cool, you proved it. No, you didn't. You're on your way. You started, but you haven't proved it completely yet. Then that experiment has to be duplicated and replicated by other paranormal scientists. Okay? It's not just you. You can't just prove it on your own. It has to be what they called, if you were to publish that as a paper in the scientific world, it's what's called peer reviewed. Okay? Especially if you're doing like a study. Then it's peer reviewed always has more weight than a study that has not been peer reviewed. Now, studies come in multiple different forms. You have observational studies, you have random trials, and you have long-term population studies, and you have clinical studies, you have studies based simply on lab work. There's all kinds of different studies, and they have varying weight as far as how much confidence it gives you that the answers that you're reaching are correct. Okay? So, with that being said, going back to what I was originally talking about, when these people are taking photographs, they have, whether they realize it or not, they are participating in this scientific journey that we're all on to try to understand the paranormal and prove what we can prove. So they're taking part, whether they know it or not, whether they like it or not. By taking that photograph, they are producing evidence. That evidence is supposed to support a hypothesis. Okay? In this case, their hypothesis would be that there is a entity in this place where I just was. I caught something on film. There's something there. Okay? That's the hypothesis. Now you have to prove it. The experiment is going there and doing an investigation. Taking the photograph, that's evidence. Now it has to be peer reviewed in order for it to have any kind of real weight. That peer review process takes place in these groups that I'm telling you about. Okay, you put your evidence up and then you ask other seasoned investigators, other paranormal scientists to weigh in and to let you know what they think. Okay, so then they'll either look at it and say, yeah, man, I think you might have had something there. Or they'll look at it and say, no, it's complete BS. Okay, and then even that's not the end, because let's say that you did capture something. Let's say that the majority of the people that comment on that post say, man, I think you really got something there, man. That looks like it's actually something. That's awesome. Great catch. So then what happens is that experiment you did, the investigation, where you're trying to prove that that place is indeed haunted, that experiment has to be replicated by other paranormal investigators. So then somebody else will say, well, I'm going to go there and I'm going to see if I can pick up something there. So then they'll go there with all their equipment and they'll do their own investigation. Okay, they will repeat the original experiment to see if they reach the same conclusion. Now, if they capture something as well, then it's been replicated. That gives a lot more weight to your original claim that you caught something there, because now somebody else has caught something there as well. So now you have two people that are saying, I think this place is haunted. As time goes on, more and more and more people will go and they will repeat the experiment and they will capture something as well. And then you can say with pretty good confidence, this place is haunted. There's something here. Okay? That is how science works. The problem is you can't get all butthurt. Okay? Science is emotionless. You don't deal with science with emotion. If you go in to any experiment with a preconceived notion that you are emotionally attached to, you've already tainted your experiment. You're already not going to be looking at the data objectively. So you're not necessarily going to come to the proper conclusion. And you are going to be more likely to believe that that speck of dust or that little bug that you captured on film that you think is an orb is a ghost. So then when you show it to other investigators who are not emotionally attached to this preconceived notion that you have, they might look at it and say, yeah, that's plainly a flashlight, or that's plainly a speck of dust floating around, or that's plainly a bug flying through. Look, if you zoom in on it and blow the picture up, you can actually see the wings. So I'm sorry you did not capture something there, in my opinion. Okay? So you can't get butthurt about that. That's just a data point. You have to say, okay, cool. I see what you're saying now. You got to be open-minded. Now you might still think that you caught something. You may not agree with their assessment, and that's fine. Go back, repeat your experiment, see if you catch something again. That's science. Science is not, hey guys, what do you think of this? And then the overwhelming majority of other investigators who look at it say, yeah, that's nothing, man. That's a lens flare, or that's a flashlight in the background, or that's a car going by, or whatever it is, right? And you have many, many people that have seen that 100 times and say, yeah, I've seen that way too many times, man. This is exactly what I think it is. And then you get all pissed off and you start cussing them and saying stupid shit. Instead of saying, oh, cool, I just learned something, thank you. And then going back and trying to prove your original hypothesis. That's how you science. Okay? You can't get all butthurt and all whiny about it. And it happens way too much. And if you have a team or you have a show or something like that where you're kind of out there in the public eye, you will get a lot more of this kind of stuff sent to you than normal people will. Okay? Like here at Staring, we get a lot of that kind of stuff sent. And I've had people send me stuff and say, oh my God, look at this. I caught a monster in my house. It's crazy looking, And you look at it and it's a dark, dark, dark picture. It's like taken in a dark room. And you're like, man, what is that? That's like just a shape, I can't make out what the hell that is. It looks kind of ominous, but I'm not exactly sure. So then you play with the photo a little bit. Okay? I'm going to teach you something here. This is a little pro tip for you. Whenever you're dealing with a piece of evidence, take that photograph, run it through a photo editing program. Okay? There's a ton of them. Every phone has one. If you're looking at your phone right now, your phone has some sort of program on it that usually you can get to it through the gallery of your phone. So if you have the picture in your gallery, you can literally pull it up and hit edit, and it'll pull up a program where you can adjust the brightness, the contrast, the color, all that kind of stuff, the hue, everything, right? You can put different filters on it, all that stuff. Put it in one of those programs. And simply, if you've got a dark picture like that, simply turn the brightness up. You'll be surprised what you see. Now, in this particular case I'm talking about, where this gentleman sent me a photograph and was like, oh my God, I caught some kind of monster or demon or something. This is crazy. And it looked, like I said, pretty damn ominous when I first looked at the photograph. I put it through the program, turned the brightness up on that sumbitch, and guess what it was? It was their dog. And you can't tell me they didn't know that that was their dog. Because literally it was as close as this. From me to my hand. It was a foot away, maybe 2 feet away. So they had to know that when they took the picture that it was their dog. There's no way they didn't know that was their dog. I'm sure the dog was coming to them. They might have even called it over and then took a picture as it came. Because there was movement in the picture. You could tell by a little bit of blur that the dog was moving. And that helped to add to the spookiness of it and the kind of, what the hell is that kind of look, right? But once you turn the brightness up, you can plainly see the ears, the nose, the mouth, everything. You can tell it's a dog. Hell, you can see in the bottom of his neck the collar. You know, the little collar with the little metal bone right there that has his name on it. So it's like, dude, that's obviously your dog, bro. And you're trying to fool me here, man. You're trying to pull one over on me. And that ain't cool. You're wasting my time. You took an obviously fake photograph and you tried to give it to me and tell me that it was something it wasn't. Thinking that I'm going to go with it and put it on the show and announce it and look like a fool. Doesn't work that way. It's not my first rodeo. Been doing this a long, long time. Decade after decade after decade. You're not going to get me like that. I'm going to investigate that photograph. I'm going to find out what it is. I'm not going to fall for some little dumb stuff like that. Okay? So, if you want to be serious, and if you actually want to try to capture something, great. Do it. Put it up. Let everybody see it. But don't get all pissy when they don't agree with you. Okay? That's one of my pet peeves. You got to have an open mind. You got to be cool. You can't get all mad. Another thing I want to talk about tonight that is absolutely ludicrous is these people who will tell you 100% that this is the right answer. And it's about something that nobody knows what the right answer to it actually is. So they'll just literally be talking out of their ass, claiming that they, because they have all this experience, they have the only answer. And it is this way and no other way. Okay? It's the equivalent of in the rest of the world, people saying the science is settled. You hear that all the time from idiots. Well, science is settled on that. No, it's not. No, it's not. I don't care what it is. It's not. Science is never settled. Never. That's literally the opposite of science. Science is a series of data points. And you look at all those data points and you form a conclusion. Or you form a question. Usually it leads to other questions. You have some conclusions you can draw, but almost always it's going to lead to more questions. And then you're going to have to try to find the answers to those questions. That's when you form your hypothesis. That's when you have your experiment to try to prove or disprove whatever it is you're trying to prove or disprove. Okay, the science is never settled. Even on something as fundamental as gravity, the science is not 100% settled. Because if new information comes along, some new discovery that changes the way we think about it, all of a sudden, our understanding of something as foundational as gravity changes. So now we understand it in a whole new way. So that science was not, in fact, settled because now we have more information that kind of changes our view on it. So whenever somebody, anybody in any form of life, okay, any aspect of your life, whether it is in politics or whether it is in um, nutrition or whether it is in like pharmacology and medical stuff, no matter what it is, whenever anybody says the science is settled, immediately stop listening to that idiot. That person is a dumbass. They don't know what they're talking about. They know nothing about actual science because in actual science, it's never settled. There's always new information that comes up. Remember, series of data points. The more data points you have that say the same things, the more confidence you have that that's the right answer. Okay, let's do nutrition, for example. Okay, here's one that has some pretty good examples, and it's also one that's current and that a lot of people are talking about online, whether it is YouTube or TikTok or Facebook or wherever it is. Right, you have all of these diet and nutrition influencers who will tell you this and tell you that. Okay, you have like the all meat people here. Okay, like the carnivore diet people. Used to be Atkins, then it was South Beach. Now it's like carnivore. Okay, they're here and they say this is the right way to eat. Vegetables will kill you. They're toxic. They're poisonous. Okay, now they have insanely high cholesterol. Their LDL is through the roof. Their triglycerides are through the roof. Their ApoB is nuts. Okay, crazy numbers, way above. I was watching this one guy the other day. His LDL was 583. Now 100 is normal, like that's the normal range, below 100. So to be at 583, that's like almost 6 times the healthy range for your LDL cholesterol. His ApoB was nuts. His triglycerides were through the roof. It was a horrible shit show. Okay, because all he eats is red meat, and that causes your cholesterol to skyrocket. That causes your risk for heart disease and sudden heart attacks. Right, massive coronary events to take place. That's proven. That's proven in dozens and dozens and dozens of peer-reviewed clinical trial studies. Okay, it's proven, 100%, 100% proven. Literally, there is no study that says that it's not a big deal. Every study says this is bad. Okay, but they'll say not a big deal. This is the right diet. Then on this side, you have the vegans, okay, and they say don't eat any meat. That all you need is plants, and you can get everything you need from plants, and you don't need to eat meat at all. Okay, they're also not telling you the whole truth because yes, technically, you could live without eating meat. Okay, you can get everything you want from plants, but to reach your protein goals is so hard. I spent years without eating meat. All I ate was vegetables. Okay. I went on this journey of nutrition. That's why I'm kind of talking about here because I kind of know a bit about it, where I was trying to find the perfect diet. I was trying to find the right diet for the optimum health and all that. So I tried the carnivore thing. And you know what happened when I tried the carnivore thing? My cholesterol went through the roof. My doctor shit a brick. They freaked out. They said, dude, you're going to have a heart attack. What are you doing? They sent me to a cardiologist. The cardiologist looked at my numbers and said, oh my God, are you nuts? You're going to die. And I said the same thing that you hear them say. Oh, cholesterol is not that big a deal. All the bullshit that they tell you. I said it to the cardiologist, and he showed me the studies. He said, look, dummy, look at all these studies. And I actually looked at the studies and I said, shit, I'm wrong. I listened to this idiot. This idiot didn't know what the hell he's talking about. That's my fault. I shouldn't have done that. I should have looked at the studies myself, right? I'm experimenting on myself, trying to figure out the right diet. So that didn't work out for me. I tried the vegan diet where I ate no animal products. I did that for about a year and a half. And at first, I felt amazing. I felt so good. Oh man, it was amazing. But the problem is, I had a very hard time reaching the levels of protein that I needed to reach to function properly. Now, if you eat a ton of beans and chickpeas and stuff like that, vegetables and legumes especially that are crazy high in protein, you can get to the raw number, okay? But it's the bioavailability of protein that's the problem because the protein in plants aren't as bioavailable as the protein in meat. That's an issue. Okay, so you might get to the raw number, but the bioavailability of that number is not as good as it would be in meat. So what that means is, let's say your number is 500. Just make it a round number so that it's easy to understand. You got to get to 500 grams of protein. That's the number you're trying to reach. You reach it by eating a shit ton of beans and lentils and flaxseed and chickpeas. I mean, protein supplements, all that, the veggie protein powder, all that stuff. You get there. But the problem is the bioavailability of the vegetable protein is only like 5%, 10%. So that means that, yes, you may have reached 500, but you're only actually able to utilize 50 grams of that. Your body can only use 50 grams. The rest of it gets flushed out of your system. So now you're still 450 grams short. And I mean, you ate so many beans and stuff, you can't even eat another bite. You're stuffed. It's ridiculous how much you ate trying to get to that. That's an issue. Okay? So when the vegans tell you easy, you can reach your protein, you don't need any of that stuff. All you need is this. That's not true. Okay? So you have people on both sides that are saying ours is the best, ours is the best, this is what I think, this is what I think, and they'll die on that hill and they'll fight you, and they don't look at the actual studies. They don't look at the actual evidence. I was never gung-ho this way or gung-ho that way. I was trying different things to try to find the right diet, the one that felt right and the one that made me feel the best and the one that made my lab work good. What I eventually settled on is more like the Mediterranean type diet, where you eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. You do have some grains, but they're whole grains. And you eat some meat. Usually I eat fish. Fish ain't really meat, but I like fish. So I eat a lot of fish. That gives me my protein. That gives me my omega-3s. It's all good. You can eat meat. You just want to try to avoid red meat because red meat, unfortunately, is the meat that skyrockets your cholesterol. That sucks, And there's people that will argue that like crazy. But what I would tell you is go look at the studies, dude. There's no studies that show that it doesn't. That's all I can tell you. And I don't have a dog in this fight really. I'm not vegan and I'm not carnivore. I've been both. I tried carnivore. I tried vegan. They both made me feel amazing for a while. And then I didn't. On carnivore, I felt great. Man, I felt good. I never felt not good on carnivore. I always felt good. But the problem is my lab work sucked, man. My numbers, my ApoB, my LDL was horrible. And I had a cardiologist go through my numbers with me and literally tell me, you're going to die if you keep doing this. These numbers are horrible. I mean, you are getting close to having a massive heart attack, bro. You got to change this. Okay? That's not cool. That's not cool. And I think it's damn irresponsible for these people to be talking out their ass and telling you things that aren't true. That sucks. You always read the studies, always look at the evidence. Okay? So that's, like I was saying, that is a case where you have different people saying different things and they're not actually open-minded. They're not actually looking at the evidence. Like I said, I tried them. I tried them all. And I kept an open mind. I kept an open mind, and when I was presented with evidence that disproved my current hypothesis, what I thought was the right answer, what I was trying to prove, I said, okay, cool. I learned something there. I know now that that's not right. So let me go this way. Let me try this one then. That's the way you should do everything. That's how you should do paranormal. Okay. So my original point was anybody that tells you the science is settled, you hear that all the time from these people. Like the carnivore people will tell you, oh, it's settled. Cholesterol is no big deal. Because they saw somebody on YouTube tell them, or they heard somebody on a podcast or something say that cholesterol is not going to hurt you if you are metabolically healthy. It's not a big deal. Or because I don't have any plaque in my arteries yet, that means that my cholesterol doesn't matter. None of that's true. First of all, most of these people that are telling you this are young. They're in their 20s or 30s. They're not going to have plaque. If they have massive amounts of plaque and stuff in their arteries already, they got a big problem. That happens later in life. Coronary disease is a long-term disease that builds over years. It's years and years of having super high cholesterol, having super high ApoB. It's years and years of this stuff compounding. And it's not just your heart, man. You can have a stroke. Your gut biome gets all screwed up. You could have all kinds of other issues. Not just from carnivore, but from all of these extreme diets. Another one I hear all the time is the eat like a caveman kind of deal, right? The paleo idea, the idea that we should eat the foods that we evolved to eat. Okay? So their idea is that cavemen ate mostly meat because when they do archaeological digs, they find a lot of animal bones in their caves. And they think that proves that cavemen ate mostly meat. Well, there's papers out there, you can go look them up, that say that during the Paleolithic period, they found evidence of massive amounts of vegetables and fruit that were being eaten by these people, and that they found even grain. And not just like grass seed, right? They found evidence that they were taking that grass seed and actually milling it, turning it into flour, grinding it to make flour, to make bread during the Paleolithic period, which that's a processed food. It's not the same kind of processed food we have today, where you have massive amounts of chemicals and stuff that gives you cancer and it'll kill you. But it's still a processed food. That's not just eating meat. And even if it was, let's say that none of that's true. Okay, let's say those papers don't exist. Let's say that they didn't find that at all. Even if the only thing that they ever ate was meat. So what? What does that prove? Does that prove that that's the healthiest thing for you to eat? No, it doesn't prove that at all. All it proves is they ate what they could get. And that's the truth. They ate what they could get. If there was fruit there, they ate the fruit. If there was vegetables there, they ate the vegetables. If there was grain they could pick, right? Grass seed, they would grab that and they'd grind it and make bread out of it. The idea that all they ate was meat is really silly when you have any experience hunting. If you've ever went hunting in your life, you know that you don't get something every time you go hunting. Hunting mostly is waiting. It's either walking around or waiting for something to come by. And there's a hell of a lot of times you go out, you don't get nothing. Okay, so if all they were eating was animals that they killed, I bet they were damn hungry because you don't get something all the time. Especially think about cave people, they didn't have firearms. Okay, they didn't even have like bows. They were using spears and a little bit later on atlatls, which was kind of a throwing spear. It's like this piece of wood about, I don't know, it could be anywhere from, you can't really see because it's too long for me to show on the thing, but anywhere from a couple feet to even like 5 or 6 feet. And it has like a little hooked part back here that your spear point sits on, or your spear shaft sits on, and you're able to fling the spear with more velocity. And some people can actually even aim that pretty decently. So that's what they were using. And there's not a whole lot of range there. It's not like you can sit up in a tree stand and pop something from 100 yards away. You got to get in close and personal with these things to kill them. And if you're dealing with a large animal, you're probably going to be dead or at least injured. So I'm sure that they didn't succeed every time they went out. So logic would tell you that they're eating other things. Man, if there's fruit and vegetables there, of course they're going to grab them and eat them. You know? So anyway, I talked way too long about nutrition and food and stuff. My point is, these people will tell you that the science is settled on cholesterol. They'll tell you the science is settled on this, that, or the other thing. Another thing you have that on is whenever you disagree with climate change or with any kind of vaccine stuff or anything like that, that's what you always hear from these dipshits. The science is settled. The science is settled. Well, we learned during the whole pandemic that everything they said the science was settled about was wrong. They weren't right about none of it. And you all know it. So don't listen to people that say the science is settled. That's my point, my long-winded, I'm an old man. Give me a break, right? That's how old people are. We just talk forever. It's kind of good for me because that's what I do for a living is talk. So that works out, right? But anyway, that was my point. So I'm going to throw over to old boy and see what he thinks about all of this. And then I'll be back to wrap up afterwards. So, old boy, go ahead, brother.
Okay, guys, so this is going to be an interesting one. It's about paranormal and some of the pictures that we get and some of the footage we get. It's not just pictures. It could be all kinds of different things, video and pictures and, just evidence altogether. And this goes with crypto, too, and other things. So, look. Here's where we're going to go. This is going to be why we sometimes get very irritated with the paranormal world and people who are not into it, who they'll show us like with orbs and another thing with orbs, and sometimes they're just not. They're dust. There's something else explained, and they'll still argue with you that they know everything because they saw it on TV. So let's go. I've had this issue a couple times. We've had evidence, thousands of pictures shown to us, and 90% of them are not real. When we tell people this, they get pissed off and don't want to fucking hear it. They know better, and and it's people who've never done this. I'm not saying there's some people who've done this too. I'm not just saying people who've never done this. It's people who are in the field that do this, and even famous people that sometimes it's nothing there. And they'll still argue with it, and they know better because they've seen it on, they've done, millions investigations. And just because you've done a million don't mean you know anything. I'm not trying to be mean. You know more than most people watching TV, but that's, it is what it is. But these people who watch TV, or a lot of it, they'll send pictures and we'll look at it and it's nothing there. Or it's explained. It's like a flash off the light, or it's going to be like a reflection or a piece of dirt. And oh yeah, that's no. That you'll know the difference. Trust me. Now there's some that it's legitly real. That there's something going on, and that's just how it goes. But the problem is, there's a lot of people in these shows because people want 15 minutes of fame, and this is, or want to go on podcast and there's nothing wrong with people being on podcasts, but the problem is, make sure you really do your homework with some of these people, because some of these people, in cases I've had before, just like this lady who kept sending me pictures of this skeleton, and come to find out it was already on Facebook, or not Facebook, on Google, that she took and tried to fake the picture, and we knew it was. And I could see where she got it from, and she still insists today that that's what it is, and I'm not going to argue with her. Fine, that's her business. Go find somebody else to help you. I'm not trying to be mean. And another thing is, if you need help, don't argue with when people come to help you and sit there and argue that you know everything, and you have like 6 other teams is gone and you do the same thing. You know what? I know what you're going to be on your own. And I'm just saying that all together. We've had this issue in the past. I'm going to tell you this right now, so everybody knows. 95% of the time when you do investigations, there's nothing crazy going on. 5% of the time, yes. That we thousands of hours of footage to get good stuff. And trust me, that's what, the only difference is we don't fake stuff. We don't say, oh, look, there's a monster. Or there's a ghost. Oh, something just attacked me. You know, one day I was sitting on the floor and we were at this haunted area, and then I felt like punching the cameraman, but I didn't, so I choked myself out. I'm not going to go... if some of you guys know the paranormal world, you know who I'm talking about. Where that's coming from. I'm just showing you examples of bullshit. And the problem is, and this is what we've dealt with, other people who have been in our teams or are people who come into wanting to do paranormal, the first thing they want to do is become famous. It's nothing to help people or try to help the spirits or get these entities out of here. It's they want to get on TV. And we'll find that out very quick. And even if you hide it for a while, we'll find out. When things don't go your way, what happens? They'll go behind your back and go to other groups and try to start trouble. That's big thing. It's happened with a couple people. And with other groups, we know it's happened. It always does. And people in the field altogether do this. But there's a lot of people who don't understand. They see stuff on TV, on anything, even with TikTok. That's another one. See, they send stuff on TikTok, and I'm sitting there looking, nothing. There's nothing there, and they'll argue with us. And I'm sitting there. Our cameras and stuff we can see if it's fake. 90% of the time, 95% of the time, I know it's fake. I don't give a fuck what they say. That's fine. You're gonna have your opinions. That's why I'm doing a show for the last 8 years with a famous horror author, and we have a famous show that's been out here for 8 years. So, but it you know, that doesn't mean anything. The point is I know what I'm talking about. I'm not an expert. Don't ever think that. I'm very experienced. There's no one expert. You're always going to learn something different or new. That's bullshit. I'm not an expert. I'm very experienced and seasoned. So is James Hershey. And he's very, very experienced. He's been doing it for 30 something years. We like crypto for 20 years, but that's a whole different story. And that's another thing that I'm going to be talking about in a little bit. But you got to realize people will show us pictures, and then I can see it's photographed. It's photocopied, or it's something they took out to make it look like especially with like, oh, there's a monster, and then you look at it. No, it's not. It's you have to realize, and people got to understand. It's very easy to fake stuff now. It's very hard because the technology is a lot better. Just like the Patterson. Oh well, the guy came out and said it. He was in the suit, and then if you guys did your research and realized his son said he lied on his deathbed and he never did that. He made that up because he was mad because he didn't get the credit for it. That was 1967. That was a different time. The technology was different then. Yes, they could have done that, but they would have had millions of dollars, and he wasn't a millionaire. Now, there's a very possibility, but there's other, if you look at the pictures, there's even proven now that there's more in those pictures. There's millions of people who argue about this for the last, 50 years? So, you know, you're never going to, I think longer than that, 50, 67, 78, 70, 77, 87, 97, 60 years now or more. So, like Loch Ness, there's people that said it was like a boat or something else, a whale's penis, as some people are saying. And why do they keep seeing stuff? It's not just one time. They keep seeing stuff. And I get it, 90% of the time it's probably fake, and I'll agree with that. Maybe 95. Not all of it is. Champ, Bigfoot. Not all these creatures are fake. Trust me. James Hershey has seen Bigfoot. I know people, oh yeah, he's crazy. He's not. He'll tell you the story. I'm just bringing it up for later on so he could tell you about what he's seen at his house. And I believe him. I know he's not lying. James isn't a liar. That one thing I will tell you this, James isn't a liar. The problem is James is he tells the truth too much. And people don't want to hear it. Now, some people are, well, the religion. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about altogether James is telling the truth. Now, he might, you know, with his beliefs, that's what his belief is. Not he's lying. It doesn't mean I agree with some of it, but it doesn't mean he's lying. that's just his opinions. That's a different thing. But he doesn't lie. That's one thing I know. James doesn't lie. I mean, I'm not gonna say he's never lied in his life. Everybody's lied, but I'm saying 99% of the time the guy doesn't lie, and he's just not built that way. And sometimes people don't like what he says, and with altogether just other things. And they don't like what I have to say, and I don't give a fuck. Am I gonna go to bed tonight? Yes, he probably is too. Trust me. I don't care. You're going to have an opinion on me. You're going to have an opinion on me, just like James does. Are we going to go to bed tonight? Yes, we are, probably. So just remember that. But this being said, that every time that every picture's got to have a ghost. Or TikTok, they have some bullshit going on there. Like, we know how that goes. What happened with the eclipse? I hear crickets now. Even though people are trying to make up shit even after that. Oh, look, there was a plane going by, but they were trying, there's an alien. This is what happens. They knew they were wrong, and even James knew it. And people, the gays, nothing happened. I fucking told you. I just had to bring that up. I just had to do it. I was going to do it. What happened? I know a couple people said, what happened? What's your excuse now? Make up another one, another bullshit story. Just like the one guy I just seen, he said there's a dragon in America, and it's as big as a continent or state. And he shows this map with flat earth. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you believe fucking that the dragon is as big as the fucking state, but he's just letting her lay there so you could see the state. I'm just going to tell you this. This is the shit that I'm talking about on TikTok. And this is another bullshit story that we're talking about. Believe whatever you want, though. You're going to believe whatever you want. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, like I said. And some people are even get mad. They get mad when they hear the truth because they know it. They don't want it. They don't care. They just want it. They don't care if it's a beautiful lie. They'll rather believe the ugly truth. That's just happens. Or they'll blame it on somebody like everybody does. Oh, it's this or the devil's fault or it's everyone else. No, it's your fault. It's your fucking fault. It's just how it goes. I'm not perfect. It's my fault that shit happens. I mean, stuff happens that you can't control. That's a different story. But most people like to blame everybody else for their own faults, and that's just what happens. And then when you tell them like this stuff with ghosts and orbs and stuff, they get pissed off and get offensive. Go. That's fine. I get it. You don't want to hear the truth. Go to the next person. Get told the same shit. Finally, you'll get somebody just who wants to put you on so they can get themselves bigger on some podcast or something, just so people listen to their show. I don't just put people on our podcast and our show. We don't just have people on Paranormal. We've had horror people, horror movies, horror authors. Because remember, James is a horror, and me and James are big horror fans. Yeah, we've had a couple investigators. Even he's a big wrestling fan, too. On top of that, we are big fucking wrestling fans. I'm a big AEW/WWE fan. He's more of a WWE fan, NXT fan. My wife's a big AEW and WWE fan. I know WrestleMania just happened. One time we're going to do a show about wrestling. We're going to do it, and it's going to go into detail. And we could talk about a lot of shit. But, see, leading up to another show. Always happens. That's how I fucking do it. I know what I'm doing. I'm very smart, guys. So is James. He's smarter in a different way. Like with reading and all that. I'm decent with it, but like he's really good with studying. I'm more of my mind. I think things ahead. I play checkers I play chess and people play checkers. I'm always steps ahead. And I'm always usually right. No, I mean, I'm wrong. Don't get me wrong. I've been wrong numerous times. But I'm telling you guys. That being said, when we try to tell you, we're not trying to tell you to break your heart, but we're trying to tell you that that's just not what it is in the picture or in the video. It's not trying to argue with you. Like we've had people, oh, look, there's a ghost that grabbed one of these kids' pants and it fell over. No, we didn't. We saw it. It rolled over. We watched the video numerous times on this, and it wasn't that it happened. He just rolled out of bed, and some people don't want to hear it. And that's fine. I get it. I get why some people are so obsessed with money and being famous, they think that's going to change everything. And just so you know, 80% almost of people who win the lottery or become famous go broke. And actually being famous is worse than the lottery. A lottery is only 75%, 76%. 89 to 90% of people who get into Hollywood or music fucking fail or they go broke. Remember that. Hollywood. I live by LA, 90 miles away. I've been to Hollywood a lot. There's a reason I go to Hollywood, and that's my fucking business and my wife's. But, I mean that in a bad way, guys. Don't think I'm an asshole, but that's just reason. We go down there. We like Hollywood. I like the music. I like the clubs down there. And I'm very into the goth scene. And I go down there a lot. And we have friends down there and a DJ I'm really good friends with. And DJ Duncan Dave, awesome guy. If you ever catch in LA, he's all over LA, San Diego area. Club Rocket. Got Danny Rocket's a really cool, and his girlfriend Victoria, very cool people. She's a big time model. And she does a lot of interviews with big names like Danzig and all that kind of stuff. Check them out if you guys can. They're really big in LA and San Diego and the IE and Orange County area. I'm going to give them a shout out. And Duncan Dave, you guys live in LA, Orange County, even up here, or, the high desert, IE, give him a call. He'll do DJ. Even up to Vegas, he'll go. So just so you know, Price is Right, he'll go. One of the best DJs I've ever heard. And that's just not because he's one of my good friends. He's just a good DJ. He knows what the fuck he's doing. But, getting back to what I was saying, is there's a lot of people in Hollywood who thought the same shit. They're going to be big. And most of these people are on the streets into drugs and all kinds of stuff. Prostitution. Because it didn't go that way. They didn't become stars. And they did, and they still go broke. Or weird stuff happens. Hollywood, I don't even want to talk to you. That's a whole nother show we could do 85 episodes of, or more, and keep going. And you see what some stuff are going on in Hollywood. Or they got something, they were getting big, and they didn't want to do certain things, or they did, and they said the wrong thing, and they got fired, now they're living on the street. Happens. Sports, same thing. You have like a 95% chance of failing. I'm just being honest. Even if you get on TV, doesn't mean you're going to be famous. That doesn't mean shit. I know thousands of people been on TV. They're not famous. Just because you went on an episode one time doesn't mean you know anything or you're famous. That means, you went on TV. Okay, that's cool. That's a great accomplishment. I'm not trying to bag on you, but okay, cool. What's that mean? I wrote 2 books. I'm not famous. I would do a horror show. I'm still going to, and I don't care what I'm determined I'm going to be on doing my own show, podcast or whatever, but that's what I want to do. And that's fine. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm not going to, no, I have a job. Me and my wife live a really decent life. It's not like we're begging for change. And it's just what I'm saying is that if you're trying to get into this with fake bullshit to become famous, okay, it's not going to work. 90% you might have something where it's questionable and they'll put you on a show with like Jack Osborne. He'll tell you how your shit's fake. And I had a friend that happened to, and she's argued with him. And my opinion, I have my opinions on him also. So yeah. Okay. Some of these guys, I wouldn't hold a candle either to them, but you know what? That's his show and I don't hate the guy. Don't have any issues with him. It is what it is. You guys watch these shows. They're entertaining, and that's why you're watching them. They make them where you want to watch them. Just like us. We try to do entertaining. We're very controversial altogether. Whatever I fucking do, I'm controversial. And I don't care. I'm from a world where this shit didn't bother us. Yes, there's some things that needed to change, and I'm glad they did. But I don't get offended. I'm going to be honest with you. I have people telling me they want me to die, kill me, call me all kinds of horrible names. I had this all my life. I don't care. I used to be a fat kid that got beat up all the time, picked on. I had horrible things happen to me. I don't blame anybody. It's, you know what? And I'm not saying that everybody's the same. Trust me, there's some people who they're just not built that way. And I get it. And that's stuff that we needed to deal with then and should have dealt with, like bullying. And it still happens. Everybody's got to take a video of them beating up somebody. And that's what I'm saying. And that's what happens to get famous. Every minute, TikTok, here we go. Let's get on TikTok and World Star and all this. That's cool, man. That's what you believe. It's not going to get you away. You know what? You might get arrested now. They're making new laws about stuff like this shit. You might go to jail over this. So remember that. Now, I'm just saying all together. Now, the orb stuff, you're just going to look stupid. People are going to believe you. But in this day and age, you can lie and be fake and you get away with it. And then if you're real, they hate you. Because they don't want to hear the truth. People don't want to hear the truth. That's why you have fake ass people taking pictures of fucking them in a Lamborghini when it's not theirs, and the guy comes out and starts it, and it's stupid to show off and try to get girls to like him, and girls jumping on the car, and oh, this is my car, and the guy turned it on and they look fucking dumb. And then then it's all right. No, it's not, dude. It's not. This is where we're becoming. You know, and if you're famous, I hate to be famous now. Everybody wants to argue and come at you, and they know this and they know better. Or John 6:3:16, or this is you're evil, this and that. You're this. You know what? Who gives a fuck what your opinion is? That you can have your opinion, but it doesn't mean it's true. It's just how you are. You know what? There's a lot of haters that are, and that's just how life is. They hate on you because they're unhappy and miserable in their own fucking life because nothing else is going in their life. It's everybody else's fault, and this is what happens. Years ago in the 80s and 90s, fuck, you saw somebody famous, you were like, hell yeah, bragging. And I'm not saying that's the best thing either, because people took it like they're somebody. And that's what it is. People are so jealous of wanting to be famous and rich. They don't care who they fuck over. And just like with the paranormal world, they don't care. They'll lie about and we'll tell them that's not what it is. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, then go to somebody else. And then guess what? They'll get told and they'll tell them the same shit. Just how it is, man. That's how Hollywood is. It's how social media is. That's how life is now. The truth doesn't matter anymore. And that's the problem. But the funny thing is, most of these people, they're doing the same shit. Nothing. And it's not making fun of anybody. I'm not trying to make fun of you. Everybody should have their dreams. I'm not trying to shatter your dreams. I'm just saying all together, it just seems like everybody thinks they're going to get somewhere with this shit. Either put some bullshit on TikTok or social media or fake pictures or they'll think, and I'm not saying there's some people who legitimately think this is ghost and they're not. They just don't know. And we'll sit there and look at it and we'll say, nah, it's not it. And then they're cool about it. But then there's some people who just fucking don't care. They'll just keep arguing and they'll start their own investigation, not knowing what to do. But they saw Jack Baggins go out there and talk to the ghost, so they know everything. And they, especially the one, somebody told me they knew about skinwalkers. You don't know shit about skinwalkers if you saw it on TV. That's the worst thing you can try to fuck with. I don't care, and they didn't know what they're doing. And that's why bad shit happens to people, because they don't listen and they do what the fuck they want. And then you'll see, something bad happened to me, and then I'm going to sue everybody because you were stupid and you didn't want to listen. People know better, and that's the problem. That's why they have 1,000 ways to die, because people do dumb shit. Jumping in a tiger cage to free tigers isn't a smart idea. They're going to fucking eat you. And the funny thing, get the zookeeper. What the fuck is the zookeeper going to do? Nothing. You're going to shoot him. And that's the sad thing. The animals get killed because some dumbass doesn't know any better. And just wants to be on fucking social media. This is what I'm talking about. I'm going to jump in a water with a bunch of alligators and I'm going to be faster. Yeah, fuck yeah. Watch what happens. And this is what happens to people. I'm just showing you examples. Just like people who want to go to haunted houses and places just to get famous so they can be tough and this and that. And then they'll come cry to people like us to go help them because all this shit's happening to them. Because they knew better and they don't believe in this shit. This is why we are the way we are. It is what it is. And yeah, that's another thing. The people who want to go argue it, and that's fine. I love skeptic people. I love people who don't believe this stuff. I'm cool with that. Hey, I'm cool with that. That's fine. But you go in there teasing shit, and I've had this happen, and they fucking have something happen. It doesn't mean it's going to happen that night. Watch. Eventually, you'll be calling somebody like me to come help you. And this is why the museums in Vegas and all these other places, like, they're doing all these shows with haunted dolls and Annabelle. Come on, man. You're not supposed to show people that doll. And you know it. The Warrens said this shit. And yes, there's probably been exaggerations and stuff, but these things are not meant for the people. It can curse people. I've had to help somebody from one of these shows. From one of these museums at Zach Baggins because they got something following them. This is And it's nothing wrong with that. That's you're gonna make his money. He's gonna make it. You know, $108 to go see it. Go ahead. You get a jacket and a shirt for $120. Making his money. That's all I'm gonna say. He's the biggest name in the industry. Cool. Okay. But a lot of people watch that show and they think they're some fucking ghost investigator or ghost hunter. Dude, I've heard people going to people's houses trying to get ghosts out so they can get famous. They don't know what they're doing. They've never done it maybe once or twice because they saw it on TV. And they make it fucking worse. And I've had to do this with other people. They've got in, and even in people who've done it for a long time, made it worse. And we had to fix it. Sometimes it's not always going to happen like this, guys. And that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. But I got to get going. There you go. And that's my opinion, guys. And I love you. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Again, on Parax Radio every Sunday nights at 12 a.m. Eastern, 9 Pacific. And we are going to run over now. We're maybe 15 minutes later. So just remember that, guys. It might be a little longer show now. Remember, follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to James Hershey's YouTube page. Remember, Best of Show, too. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on Tuesday nights. So forgot about that. You want merchandise? James will tell you where to go. Shirts, hats, beanies, all kinds of cool stuff. Even iPod cases for your phone. You guys, we're always doing new stuff, and we're going to do a little longer sometimes, maybe a little shorter. You never know. But if you guys like what we're doing, tell us any suggestions, and we'll do the show. It's always good to hear from you guys. It's almost the middle of April. It's still on and off cold. It actually snowed Saturday, and now it's 80 degrees. So it's just how the desert is sometimes. That being said, I hope you guys have a good night. Misfits, Sugar Ladies, Monster Lovers, and Demon Hunters. I fucking love you. And good night. And remember, you can follow us on everything like social media-wise. And Spotify on top of that. And a couple other places. He'll tell you where to go. But that being said, I hope you guys have a good night. And I fucking love you guys. Good night, Misfits.
Thank you, brother. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope that you learned something. Let me know down in the comment section down there what y'all think. If you're listening on the radio, please check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/James Hershey Jr. That's where everything is. It's where every episode of Staring, every episode of Tales, every episode of a ton of different little series that I do, they're all up there. They're 100% free. They're pretty awesome. Come check it out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you guys want merch or anything like that, there's a link on the YouTube channel on every video in the description box that gives you the website, and you can go there and get some merch. It's all a decent price. I keep it just above what it costs to make it. I'm not making much money or really any money off of it, so it's just there in case you guys want it. As always, it's up to you to make up your own mind. I appreciate you watching. Thank you. I love you, and I'll catch you on the next one. Till we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.